Hey guys, it's always a good idea to look back so that we can look forward. Let's take a few minutes here, just 10 minutes or so, to just really analyze and look at how we did last year on a few things. How are we doing? It's just so important. You know, I've always heard the saying, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rotten. So let's be green. Let's always be growing, and let's always be looking at how we are treating our careers, our stores, our businesses, and let's just make sure that we're always moving forward, because life is pretty boring if we're not moving forward. Okay, so let's take a quick look back at how we did last year. Let's give ourselves a good honest grade, and then let's look at some of the changes that we might need to make moving forward. Okay, so first of all, how are our diamond presentations going? When somebody sits in front of you and they're looking at a loose diamond and a semi-mount, or if they're looking at a fully mounted piece and they're looking at getting engaged, or they're looking at upgrading a diamond that they have, or they're looking at getting a big honkin' anniversary ring, how are we doing at closing them? Give yourself a grade. Give yourself a good, honest grade, okay? And so in that grade, you may think, oh, you know, we need to work on our diamond pricing. We need to work on getting some fresh new semi-mounts in here. You know, there's all of these factors. But you know what? First of all, give yourself a grade. And let's look at how are we doing at closing those people. Next thing we need to do is, you know, if we don't really know, we don't have a good idea or a good honest idea, we need to do a closing ratio analysis. And that's just, you know what, just take 1 week and have a check mark for people that walk in and have a check mark for people that closed, that you closed, okay? At the end of the week, look at that ratio and see how you're doing. Most people think they're doing a lot better than they really are, okay? Most people think that they're closing 70 or 80%. Not typical. Usually it's more like 20, 30%, okay? So take a good, honest look at that. And if you don't know what to give yourself for a grade, give yourself a grade in 1 week after you've done 3 or 4 or 5 or 9 diamond presentations, okay? Next, how are we doing at customer follow-up and clienteling? Now, those tend to be one and the same. How are we honestly doing at when a customer comes in and says, I'd like you to check on this for me, or I'd like to look at doing a custom piece, or I'd like whatever the details are. See if you can get that watch for me. See, you know, what's it going to take for this repair? Whatever it is, how are you doing at follow-up? How are you doing at 100% of the time getting back to that customer and making that sale? How are you doing? Give yourself a grade. And not only give yourself a grade for that, but the clienteling part. The clienteling part is really, how are you reaching out to people that maybe aren't expecting your call, but are welcoming your call? Whether it's a call or an email or a letter in the mail. How are you doing at clienteling? How are you doing at making sales or making something happen or starting a conversation when you hear crickets in the store? When there's nothing going on and it's January 16th and there's no sales going on, what are you doing at following up with customers from Christmas and getting repairs, getting sizings, getting appraisals done, and getting that customer service done, and starting that conversation for whatever that next item may be? How are you doing? Give yourself a grade on clienteling, okay? Next, product knowledge. Now, things don't change an incredible amount in our business, but you know what? The last time a customer came in and asked you about tanzanite, did you know the answer? Or did you pass it along to Tanya, who is the colored stone expert, okay? How are you doing at diamond product knowledge, at the chronographs on all of your watches and the cases? How are you doing at knowing how a diamond gets set into a head, okay? How are you at product knowledge? Give yourself a grade, okay? Next, how are you at being a good coworker? How are you at being the person that people love to see come in the door, all right? How are you doing at creating smiles among your team members? How are you at just being a good person, okay? Hey, this is important stuff. We spend more time together than with our spouses or our family or our kids most of the time. So you know what? How are we doing at that? Okay? Next thing, How are we doing at accountability? If the store opens at 10 and you're supposed to be there at 9 to set up, are you there at 9:15? Are you there at 9:10? Are you there at 9 on the dot? That's not even my favorite thing. I like to be there at 10 to 9, 5 to 9. That's me personally, okay? But how are you at being a person that people can count on? Are you someone that if you say it, your word is your bond, and they can take it to the bank? Whether it's customers, whether it's your boss, whether it's your coworkers. How are you at fulfilling what you say? How are you at accountability? How are you at timeliness? Give yourself a grade on accountability, okay? Good, honest grade. Next, how are you at growth in general? You know, when was the last time you read a good book? A Zig Ziglar book? When was the last time you watched a great I was going to say film, but when was the last time you watched a great video on how to set diamonds? Or a video or anything product knowledge wise? How are you at growth in general? When was the last time you came to your staff meeting and you said, hey, I got to tell you guys about this. I read this and it's phenomenal. We need to talk about this to see if we can implement it, okay? Whether it's hug your customers or a great video, or maybe it was even a great movie and you saw some jewelry that you guys sell in the movie. So that type of thing. How are you at growth in general? Are you further ahead this year than you were last year at this time? Are you a better person? Are you a smarter jeweler? Are you a better salesperson? Are you a better person to work with? Okay. Next, if you bring Shane Decker or Brad Huskin or Janice Mack or Kate Peterson or any of the pros into your store to train you on sales, they're going to ask you about your sales turnovers. They're also going to ask you about your closing ratio, but we've already looked at that. Now, sales turnovers. How are you at turning over a sale when your personality does not match the personality of the person on the other side of the case? How are you at turning over sales when you're not gelling with that person, okay? Or when you're not understanding them, or they don't like something about you and they're looking around and their eyes are everywhere but on you? How are you at turning those sales over? If you're not turning those sales over, your store is losing those sales. Shame on you, and you need to start turning those over, because I would rather have 50% of something than 0% of a big fat goose egg, okay? How are you at sales turnovers? Give yourself a grade. We're going to talk about it. We're going to face these, okay? And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to grow. Then, how are you at group sales? What I say about group sales is typically when you have a fun country person, we've gone through the personalities, and once you understand people's motivations, okay? You've got a fun country gal in front of you. She's coming in very brightly colored clothes. She's got big hair. She's got lots of makeup on, and she's talking loud. And she's probably talking on the phone when she's on her way in. She's a fun country person. She wants to have fun. She's okay being on stage. So what's happening there is you need to get the group around, or anybody who's not selling, and you need to get them around and listen to her story, to edify her, to listen to her and honor her. And then, you know what? Nod your head when she's looking at the carat and a half diamond. She says, should I get that? And the group's going, yeah. If the group goes, yeah, she's going to buy it. How are you at group sales? All right? Simple. And finally, how are you at add-on sales? And that's a real simple, objective look at your tickets for the last year, especially the last month over the Christmas season. How are you at adding on to that Pandora bead? Okay? How are you at adding on to repair? Big one. Big one. How are you at selling the men's wedding band at the same time you sold the engagement ring? You know what? That's one place that we as independent jewelers really drop the ball. How are you at doing that? Give yourself a grade. All right, let's look at that. Then, on the sales management side, this is more higher level stuff for your store managers and your owners, but it's important for everybody to understand this as well. How are we doing at our ROI and promotions? Have we done the same promotion for 20 years without a positive cash flow? We've lost money on it 20 years, but we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You know what? As a jeweler, I would almost tend to want to not do things just because we've done it for 20 years and try it, see how that goes. Hey, maybe we just save the money. You know, and I'm not against events at all. I just want them to pay for themselves. I want them to more than pay for themselves. I want them to be big hits. So let's just take a look at a good hard look at our ROI and our promotions. How do we do on Valentine's Day, at Christmas? Our marketing. Did our marketing, did we have a positive cash flow at the end after all this? What's our grade on our ROI? And if you know what, and if it's not good, stop it. Don't do it again next year, okay? This year, rather. How are we doing at customer count? If we have door counters, it's a great thing to have. How are we doing? Do we have more people coming through the door? If we have more people coming through the door, then your people are clienteling properly and you're marketing properly, okay? How are we doing at that? How are we doing at our growth in overall sales? Are we at 1.7 million this year versus 1.3 last year? Okay. Now, I know our bead customers, or our Pandora and Chameleon, etc., your average ticket's going to be lower, but you're going to have a whole lot more of them, right? And so your profitability is going to look a little different than if you're not a bead store. So you guys get that. You guys know that you sometimes have to work harder for a lot more sales, and so your average ticket tends to be lower. How are we doing at profitability? Okay, how are we doing at our diamond margins? Are we giving things away? Are we relying on discounts to close sales, or is there a better way? Can we improve our margin? Okay, and one good way to tell how your profitability is what kind of car the store owner drives. Okay, if the store owner drives a great car, then you can feel really good and confident that you guys are doing good profitability. I know that's a kind of a funny way to look at things, but really, I would do everything I could as a store employee, as a sales team manager, to say, what can we do to get Tom into a Mercedes or a BMW this year, okay? Because profitability is key and it's vital to your business moving forward. And it's vital to making payroll, gall darn it. So let's look at that. And then finally, make your Valentine plans now. If you don't have them already locked up, which you should, make your Valentine plans now. So next week when you're watching this training, you guys know, here's what's going out. Here's the postcard that's going out. Here's the date it's going out. Here's the item that we're doing. Here's the price it's going to be. Here's the promotion that we're doing with it. We're doing chocolates and dinner, whatever we're doing with that promotion. And then we're going to start talking about it now. We're going to start talking about it on Facebook, and we're going to email it out. We're going to get it going now. Now, marketing-wise, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to really do a lot with this until the first week in February. But we can start planting the seeds right now. I was just at the store this morning, and they already got the Valentine stuff out there. So anyhow, make your Valentine plans now and get rolling on those. And remember, Valentine price points are usually $99. They're usually $49, $79, $99. That's kind of the sweet spot. And then if you're lucky, you're getting up to $149, $199, $349 up to $499. You don't typically see a whole lot of Valentine sales over that. If you are, God bless you. You're doing amazing. So fantastic. Write it in your heart every day that this is going to be the best day of the year. That's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. So a good quote to close the day's training. Go out and see you next week, and go out there, take a good hard look at your grades here, give yourself a grade, and have a discussion about it, okay? Discuss it, because that's the way we're going to grow, to get it out in the open, all right? Go grow. See you later.